What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I'm bringing you a version of Garbodor that I alluded to in my previous Garbodor video, but did not do, and it's one that I've been wanting to do for a little while, and that is a Garbodor Espeon deck. This particular list is the one that Colin Peterik used in the Madison Regionals, and I really liked it, so I decided, you know what, let's just go with it. But before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and click that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton, and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, now, I'm going to be completely honest. Before I started recording this, I literally sat at my computer for about 10 minutes trying to think of a good question of the day, and I just came up empty. I could not think of a good one, and then I realized that, you know what? I can make the question of the day you guys helping me think of future questions of the day. So whenever I do one, I try to always make it somewhat relevant to the deck. Okay, somewhat, and usually, because I know I've just had some off-the-wall questions in the past. But I try to make it somewhat relevant to Pokemon in one way or another. And there have been times where I've just had random ones like, I don't even remember, what's your favorite holiday, that type of thing. What questions of the day do you guys want me to start doing? I mean, please leave questions that you guys want me to ask in the comment section down below. Please help me out, guys. I'm scraping here. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. Well, not that you guys are the bottom of the barrel. I don't want any of you thinking that, because love you guys all with my heart. Whole heart. Each one of you has it. But but yeah, I mean, I was just sitting in my computer for about 10 minutes trying to think of a good question of the day. So yeah, help me out. What questions of the day do you guys want to, well, I would say see me, but you're really just hearing me. What questions of the day do you guys want to hear me ask in the comment section down below? Help a brother out, guys. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, this is centered around Garbodor and Espeon. And there are plenty of lists out there, but I decided to go with this one because of a couple cool texts that I saw in it, namely Jirachi and Team Rocket's Handiwork, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But really, you guys know what Garbodor does by now. Trash Launch, 1 energy, does 20 times the number of items in your opponent's discard pile, basically just hit for a ton of damage. And then Espeon is the partner that we're pairing it with Psybeam, Psychic, and Divide GX, all of whom are very strong attacks. And Espeon, in the right situation, can force your opponent to play items, which allows Garbodor to hit that much harder. So pretty cool synergy between these two. I really like what they're able to do together. And yeah, that's pretty much just what the whole deck is around. You guys know what these two do by now. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit quicker of a deck list, because I know people have been saying that they want quicker deck lists, but you guys know me. You know I like to talk a lot. But I'll just start with Pokemon and go through 4-3 of Eevee and Espeon. 1000% use this Eevee. I know in the Pramawat video there was another Eevee. It was this one. I said that you guys could use this one. But in this deck, because we run Psychic Energy, we're going to be taking advantage of Energy Evolution. So 1,000,000% use this Eevee over any other Eevee. And then 4-3 of Eevee and Espeon, just to have Eevees when we need it and then be able to evolve them into Espeon. 1 Jirachi. Now this Jirachi has kind of fallen out of favor in the meta, but I think it's still a really cool card. Because of Stardust, discard a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. If you do, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this during your opponent's next turn. Basically, Jirachi just stalls for a turn and discards a special energy off of our opponent's Pokemon. And in a deck with like Garbodor Espeon, where you are relying on evolutions, buying a turn in really just at any point in the game can be actually pretty significant. Being able to just be like, okay, let's discard an energy, let's just sit for a turn, I need to get a couple more evolutions, a couple more energy attachments, that type of thing. So Jirachi is something I haven't seen in the meta in a while, and I really like that this deck has it. It's a really cool tech card in it. 2 Lele, just because Lele OP AF. I feel like I'm definitely going to be talking about Lele in the same way that I talk about Shaman. Like, I have 2 Lele because Lele. And then as for the Garbodor, we have 4 Trubbish. I mean, he uses the Acid Spray Trubbish, which I actually completely agree with, because for 1 Psychic Energy, I mean, you're going to be putting a Psychic Energy on it anyway, and I know the other Trubbish has Stomp Off, but Acid Spray, 10 damage, flip a coin if heads, discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. If you're attacking with Trubbish, then you're probably in dire straits to begin with. And the effect of Acid Spray having the potential to discard an energy off an opponent's Pokemon is, well, off an opponent's active Pokemon, excuse me, is very crucial in some situations. And then we have the standard 1-3 line of Garbotoxin Garbodor and Trashalanche Garbodor, just shut off abilities and just hit for tons and tons of damage. So pretty straightforward Pokemon line, a little bit heavier as you can see with 18. But one thing I did notice about this deck, it barely runs any items at all compared to other normal decks. Well, I say normal, but you guys know what I mean. Compared to the usual decks that you see, this deck runs virtually no items. And what's funny is that while this deck runs virtually no items, it still runs 16 items. 16. That means Garbodor is going to be hitting for 320 damage against us if we have all our items in the discard pile. So even a deck that is designed around having low numbers of items still has more than enough items for Trashalanche Garbodor to put in work against it. I mean, that's how absurdly powerful Garbodor is. I mean, that's absolutely insane. Just but yeah, I mean, you can tailor your deck as much as you want, but at the end of the day, items are a huge part of the game, and if you don't run them, you're just going to be in such a bad spot. So that's why Garbodor is able to be as powerful as it is. But anyway, on to the items. 2 Field Blower, just get rid of things like Choice Band, Stadiums that our opponent can use to help them. Get rid of like Float Stones, just really any items. Well, mainly we like Field Blower because it puts tools attached to opponent's Pokemon into the discard pile, which counts as another item for Trashalanche. That's why Field Blower is so nice, but also get rid of like Forest of Giant Plants, Rough Seas, other stadiums that could give us a rough time. 4 Ultra Ball to guarantee get what we want when we want. 4 VS Seeker to reuse all of our supporters. And then as for these supporters, you have a lot higher number of supporters than usual, but I still think it's really cool the types of supporters they're running. So first of all, 2-4 of Sycamore and N, and just Shuffle Draw. You can see this deck is very much tailored to the mirror match and trying to be able to take on the mirror match as best as possible. Sycamore discards cards, but I mean, again, is such an insanely powerful draw supporter that you can't not use it. And then N just geared towards Shuffle Draw, put stuff back into your deck, get it back into your hand, and potentially disrupt your opponent if they've taken a lead. 2 Lysandre, because Lysandre, I mean, is Lysandre. It's like how Shaman is Shaman, Lele is Lele. Lysandre is Lysandre. It's going to be replaced by Guzma, but Lysandre is having its last hurrah in this current format. 1 Karen as our method of Pokemon recursion, be able to shuffle all Pokemon in both discard piles back into the deck. Well, Karen not only works as Pokemon recursion for us, but also disruption for Vespiquen. So that's one thing to keep in mind. 2 Hex Maniac, just shut off our opponent's abilities. That way we don't always have to rely on Garbotoxin Garbodor to shut off our opponent's abilities, or if our opponent gets like a turn 1 Vileplume, we can Hex Maniac, put a Float Stone onto our Garbotoxin Garbodor, and then their abilities are shut off as well. 1 Delinquent, because one other way that our opponent can keep from playing items is to just hold them in their hand, just not play them. I mean, that's how you keep Garbodor from being able to hit for a ton of damage, is you just don't use items. Well, Delinquent forces our opponent to discard cards, and so they either have to discard items or they have to discard things like Pokemon, energy, supporters, that type of thing. Just gets rid of the stadium and also gets rid of cards in our opponent's hand, potentially powering up Garbodor even more. 1 Brigette, just because Lele into Brigette has kind of become the pretty standard opening in the game. And the card that really I found kind of cool was Team Rocket's Handiwork, because it gives you like an alternative win. Okay, first of all, it can give you an alternative win con in late game. Second of all, you can see that like this deck is geared towards, okay, if our opponent doesn't just play items, we can still force them to get items in the discard pile, whether that's discarding tools with Field Blower, discarding cards out of their hand with Delinquent, or discarding cards straight off the top of their deck with Team Rocket's Handiwork. I mean, this deck just has so many ways of forcing your opponent to get items in the discard pile. That's why I like it as much as I do. As for the tools, 3-3, of Choice Band and Float Stone. Choice Band just to boost damage output, Float Stone to give us free retreat and also activate Garbotoxin for DCE absolute max number because, I mean, of Espeon and Lele being able to just slap a DCE on there and attack, and then 8 Psychic Energy because that's kind of what the deck relies on. So yeah, I know I said I was going to try to keep this list a little bit shorter. I apologize. I started talking about all the cool things that this deck does, so my bad. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against a Sabsim 749 with a pure water deck, so, well, this could be interesting based on what we're facing. I'm thinking, I mean, if it's Greninja, then we automatically have the upper hand because, I mean, come on, it's Greninja against... Ooh. So I start with just Lele. I mean, at least Lele's not Shaman and you can actually attack with it, and Lele can technically, well, can potentially get you prizes in the right situations, so... Oh boy. This is something. Well, I guess I wanted all of my energy turn 1, because, I mean, hey, who doesn't want that? And, yeah, just attach a DCE and pass. This is a very bad start, because, I mean, I literally have a Lele. I played nothing except for a single DCE, so very good first turn. Great first turn. And my opponent is obviously running an Alolan Ninetales deck. At least I'm assuming it is, considering it's pure water, and Alolan Vulpix is usually in some faster, or is usually in slower decks in order to help them set up, but considering he's actually Aqua Patching to add on the bench, I'm assuming that it's going to be an Alolan Ninetales deck. And so my opponent is just going to beacon for a Remoraid and a Glaceon, so... Alright, I get a Team Rocket's handiwork. Hey, on the bright side, I get to discard 4 cards, so finally got to play a card. I get to take a prize right here. So, I mean, that's something. Hey, there's a Float Stone that I can't use yet. I mean, okay, so my deck is centered around evolutions, obviously. Glaceon could lock it down, but the fact that I have Tapu Lele that's already starting to get powered up pretty well means that I'm going to be in a very good position. This Ninetales, if I get enough damage on it, it could Ice Path GX me and knock me out, which would be really, really bad. Oh my gosh. There we go. There's a Brigette. So what I'm going to do is grab, I think, Eevee and 2 Trubbish. Actually, no, that was a bad play. I should have... Yeah, darn it. I mean, I was thinking, okay, let's cover all my bases, get a Garbotoxin, a Garbodor, get an Espeon-GX, and get a Trash Lanch Garbodor. But what I should have done is grab 2 Eevees. That way I could evolve everything in my hand, have 2 Espeon and a Trash Lanch Garbodor up. Because at this... Because, I mean, right now, yeah, abilities will be nice for my opponent, but they're not too huge of a deal. Hit the Ninetales for some good damage. 80 damage is nice. And then, yeah, so I'm in actually an okay spot despite what I've drawn so far. I'm going to be able to get a Trash Lanch Garbodor. My opponent is going to heal off of Ninetales. And, I mean, he just keeps playing items, so I'm completely okay with this. The more items my opponent plays, the easier it will be for me to, get knockouts with Garbodor. So, I mean, hey, do you play all those items? Please keep playing them, because Garbodor is eventually going to be able to take one-hit knockouts on certain things. Well, actually, not just on certain things, on everything, apart from a Crystal Ray Glaceon. And wow, so okay, considering that top deck, I am very, very glad that I decided to go for 2 Garbodor. So I could shut off abilities right now, which I actually think I'm going to do if TCGO ever lets me play the Float Stone down. Come on, you can do it. I know you can. I've seen you do it before. Please play the Float Stone on. There we go. And yeah, I mean, yes, it does shut off my ability to draw into a Lele to get a supporter, but at the same time, I'm still able to shut off all of my opponent's abilities, because he's a lot more reliant on those at this point than I am. So the Ninetales is going to get completely powered up. He's probably... I mean, at least with the Garbodor in play, it forces him to... try to take it out with, like, Ice Blade or something like that. So maybe... Actually, if he has a Lysandre into my Trash Lance Garbodor, then Ice Path, that could be pretty bad. But nope, he does... Well, actually, he still could Lysandre in the Garbotoxin Garbodor. And he ends. So, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, so I'm hitting for some good damage right now. And, well, hey, that works. That works very nicely. See the Choice Band come down onto a Vulpix. So, I am actually in a weird situation right now. Because I could easily knock out the Ninetales if I slap the DCE onto Tapu Lele. I mean, unless my opponent Ice Paths. If my opponent Ice Paths, then I'll just power up Espeon and we'll go from there. But if my opponent just goes for an Ice Blade this turn... Okay, he is. So I'm in a situation... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, okay, now we're cooking. So let's go ahead and put another item into the discard pile right there. Let's get another Trubbish and another Eevee, because why the heck not? I can knock out the Ninetales this turn. You know, I could have, but I don't know. I think actually the play is to retreat. Play is to just retreat into Espeon. That way I save Lele. I save its ability to take on Glaceon. Just switch into my Espeon. It's only 1 energy retreat, so that's not a big deal. And then just go into my Espeon, knock that thing out with a Psychic, and yeah, there we go. So, excellent position right here. Like, I'm 3 prizes ahead. My opponent really has nothing particularly useful set up right now. So that's just going to work in my favor immensely. Does bring up the Glaceon. But if he plays a DCE on it, then I'm just going to be able to hit that for some very nice damage. And I have a Garbotoxin, another Trash Lance Garbodor in my hand that I can set up. I can Ultra Ball for an Espeon to evolve my Eevee into another Espeon-GX. And right now, for only using 1 draw supporter this entire game, my board setup is phenomenal. Like, this is probably exactly the board setup that you would want. You would want, like, minimal Leles, but just enough to deal with any situations that Espeon or Garbodor can't handle. About to have 2 Garbodor, 2 Espeon, well, 2 Trash Lance Garbodor, 2 Espeon, a Garbotoxin Garbodor, and I mean, yeah, that's just... This is an amazing hand. Or an amazing setup, and then I have a perfect hand to set up along with it because I have plenty of energy to where I really don't need to draw into anything. I can just... Yeah, I can just evolve into Garbodor. I can even get that set up with a single energy attachment. But I think in order to just knock out this Glaceon in 1 hit, I'm going to retreat into my Garbodor, set up another Garbodor. I'm putting up the damage Garbodor just because I really don't feel like... it's overly necessary to have... I'm setting up the damaged one just because... I mean, I want to keep the clean one clean just in case I need it to take a hit at some point. And then let's just knock out the Glaceon. 320 damage, and yeah, there we go. So, 1 prize away. I have too many different ways of taking the prize. All I need to do is just either knock out this active, go into my Espeon that's on the bench, and then divide GX to win the game. I have so many different ways of winning the game. My opponent really cannot try to Lysandre stall, because another reason that I wanted to evolve that Eevee so quickly is because Espeon only has 1 retreat cost, and Eevee has 2, or that Eevee anyway. So I wanted to go ahead and do that, and here we go. We are just going to be able to win the game. Trash Lance that Ninetales, hit it for 340 damage for a single energy, which is OP AF. And yeah, we take the win right there. Gonna go ahead and wow, we completed the completed the daily challenge. Oh, that was Wow. Beautiful. We completed the daily challenge in one match simply because we hit for exactly 1,000 damage. I'm sorry, but the OCD in me is very, very, very happy that we were able to hit for exactly 1,000. But that was just kind of an example of, okay, this deck started off very, very slow. In my first turn, I literally played a DCE and passed. And yet, I was still able to get two Trash Lance set up, 2 Espeon-GX, a Trash Lance Garbodor, and still have my Tapu Lele up there. Just, I mean, that's how powerful this deck can be and how much it can really just kind of, okay, let's take what I can get and go from there. So, yeah, that was a very, very solid first match where we were up against a Glaceon. I know I didn't do anything, but we still won. So, big thumbs up to myself on that one. Cell 5, boom. And let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against a Kuro Rushi with a Grass, Psychic, Water, and Normal deck. Sorry, it took me a second to comprehend those types, especially because I don't... Actually, you know what? I don't even know what I'm saying. So, yeah, I see those types. It's a thing. I start off with, okay, now this is a hand. This is a very nice hand. Start off with a Trubbish. I have an Ultra Ball for a Lele. I can Lele for a Brigette, and yet I still have a draw supporter beyond that. And my opponent starts with a Shaman, so you know what that is? That is just 2 prizes waiting to happen. Just very simple with, ooh. Uh-oh, we gotta force the giant plants up in here. So, prioritizing a Garbotoxin Garbodor is going to be very key in this matchup. Just because, I mean, I'm assuming there's Enhanced Hammer too. So at least, okay, if my opponent's running Hammer, at least he's not running Decidueye, so I can take a little bit of solace in that. No, don't end. Why? My hand was great. I loved my hand. And it even got a couple tech supporters in the discard pile for later. I hate this game. This is not a good game. Well... Seriously? Seriously. This is what I'm gonna get. Okay, there we go. Alright, so, I go from a phenomenal hand to this hand. And, I mean, while I really, really want to, I really want a Brigette to get set up, I'm gonna have to end in order to be able to actually do anything. So, yeah, let's just end and get a fresh hand of 6, see if I can get something else. This game is trolling me, I swear. Let's Ultra Ball, get rid of the Brigette and a DCE to grab... Just grab a Lele for next turn. And I think let's play the Eevee down and end the turn right there. So, yeah, the game is trolling me. I'm convinced of it. But, I mean, on the bright side, it really wasn't an awful first turn. Like, I was still able to get a Trubbish up, I was still able to get an Eevee up, I was able to get a Tapu Lele with a DCE on it? Okay. Oh, I guess he wants to hit my Tapu Lele for 30 damage. Or 50, or 60, sorry, wow, I can't count. I mean, that's fine if he wants to hit him for a lot more, that's understandable, so let's go ahead and put the energy onto the Garbodor, Tapu Lele for probably just another N, maybe. Yeah, let's just go ahead and grab another N. Because I know my opponent has a DCE and a Shaman in hand. We don't want him to have either of those, or at least we don't want him to easily have either of those. And, okay. So right here, let's Ultra Ball, get rid of the Lysandre and the Jirachi. I might just grab another Trubbish. Yeah, that way I can potentially get the Garbotoxin Garbodor set up next turn. Let's play that down there. And... do I want a Field Blower? No, I'm going to wait until my opponent plays down a Choice Band. That way I can put another item into the discard pile with Field Blower. That for Garbodor. And my opponent has a Field Blower of his own. Okay. So, I mean, he's literally just using the Field Blower. That's another item to get rid of one of my items. And he has a Dartrix and another Dartrix. So maybe I should have gotten rid of Forest Giant Plants. Oops. Maybe I should have. Actually, no, never mind. We see it right in his hand, so it turns out that it didn't matter. And man, my opponent is just playing items right now. I am okay with this. Gets rid of the... okay, so this is Ninetales Decidueye. I knew it was Decidueye because obviously, you know, the whole Rowlet thing. But I didn't know what else it was paired with, although I probably could have guessed based on the water typing that we saw. My opponent is going to get a Feather Arrow and an Energy Drive. Well, honestly, that's okay because I get a DCE of my own. Ooh. How do I want to do this? So let's go ahead and actually DCE up the Eevee. Get rid of the Forest Giant Plants because, I mean, hey, I was going to be discarding it anyway. And then, now there we go. That's a hand. That's beautiful. I can now shut down my opponent's abilities with Garbotoxin. Let's just go ahead and Ultra Ball grab that Garbotoxin Garbodor. Play the... I mean, I'll end up playing my hand down to 1, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal because... Yeah, I mean, I'm playing my hand down to 1, but I have a Garbotoxin Garbodor set up. I have a Trashlanche Garbodor set up. I'll have an Espeon-GX very nearly set up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Float Stone up the Garbodor, and then I think... So I have to be careful with this. I think the play is just to retreat into Garbodor and take 2 prizes. Force my opponent to have a Field Blower in order to be able to... Force my opponent to have a Field Blower in order to be able to take a knockout on the Espeon, because then that's another... That's just another item in the discard pile for me to be 1 step closer to knocking out Decidueye in 1 hit. My opponent does get another Decidueye up. That's fine as long as he doesn't have the Field Blower. I unfortunately did have to get rid of a DCE in order to be able to... Or I had to get rid of a Float Stone in order to set that up, but... Okay, my opponent just Sharp Blade Quills, or however you want to say it, and... Let's power up the Espeon, and VS Seeker for probably... Do I want to have N or Sycamore? I kind of want to save Espeon. I don't know, I think... yeah, let's just Sycamore, honestly. Yeah, that's the better play. Then I can... Okay, so I get a... How do I want to do this? So I think, yeah, I mean, right now I'm just going to Trashlanche. Just get rid of that, get rid of the Dartrix, take a prize, and now I'm playing a little bit of an odd prize game. But I think I still should be okay. Because I can always, like, play Eevee down and then Karen or whatever. See the DCE come down. And then a Lysandre. Is he going to try to stall? Yeah, he's going to try to stall with Lele. That's not going to do much for him as I get a Choice Band. So I'm going to go ahead and attach to Lele. Choice Band up Garbodor. Or maybe. Yeah, let's go ahead and just Choice Band up Garbodor. And then you know what? This is a good time to rock it. See if we can get anything off of that. We do not. So basically just a wasted supporter. Sad times. But yeah, let's go ahead and retreat into Garbodor. Trashlanche. Hit this Decidueye for 150 damage. Yeah, put it in range of another Trashlanche, a Psychic, really just anything at this point. I'm just trying to put him in range of. But these 2 Decidueye are going to be a little bit difficult to try to just run over in order to be able to take the game. My opponent does get a Grass Energy onto his Decidueye, so he's going to be able to hit me for 90 damage. And honestly, the more items he plays, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9. That'll be 10. It'll be 10 with the Float Stone. This is starting to look pretty good. Because I'll be able to Field Blower away that Float Stone. Ooh, and the Alolan Vulpix comes down. So I have to play this correctly, and I have to play it patiently. So let's get rid of the Float Stone. I could play the Eevee down, but I think the right play is just get energy onto Lele. That way if my opponent tries to Lysandre things up, he won't be able to, or he won't be able to just stall by like Lysandering up the Lele and then hoping that I don't have an energy in my hand. See the DCE come down onto that. I think I just... Okay. So what's he gonna do? Lysandre, wait. No, that's a big choke, actually. If he Lysanders something in, I think I just win. Yeah. Yeah. He Lysandered up my Garbotoxin. Well, now that gives me the retreat into Espeon, and I win the game with Divide GX. Because otherwise, what I would have had to do is just attack once again with Garbodor, and then just wait until my opponent drew into... Oh, and then just wait until I was able to retreat Garbodor out into Espeon and win the game. But the fact that my opponent Lysandered that turn, it allowed me to go into Espeon, Divide GX, knock out the heavily damaged Decidueye on the bench, and the Vulpix that my opponent just played down, although I would like to point out that even if my opponent hadn't played down the Vulpix, I would have been able to knock out the active Decidueye anyway. I just went for the Vulpix because, I don't know, I was kind of paranoid, just like, maybe I like miscounted on the Decidueye. I mean, I know for a fact I can knock out the bench Decidueye and the Vulpix, but maybe I miscounted and I'd be 10 damage short on the active. So I mean, it was like I knew I could do it, but I just decided that there was no reason to and might as well go for the thing that I guaranteed know that I have the ability to take out. So I just went with that. Espeon was able to take us 3 prizes in the end, and yeah, won the game against pretty solid meta deck right now. I mean, I know Ninetales Decidueye is very powerful right now. So, yeah, able to take that out. Garbodor Espeon is a very, very cool version, and I'm glad that I decided to try it out because this was a very fun deck to use, and obviously, I mean, it wins pretty easily, and who doesn't enjoy winning? So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.